to RX Success, and without any further delay, I will turn it to your host with the most, Mr. Robert Allen.
Welcome, everybody. So good to see all of you today. And remember, we've been continuing our conversation about how to be successful in RX. That's the name of this call. And we have talked all kinds of different approaches on how to do that. We've been inviting people who are members of the Power Rankers. And today we have a very special guest to be with us. I'm going to share with everybody the PowerPoint that we went through last week, because I want Stephane to get a little idea of what we have been talking about, so he can maybe tailor some of his conversation to what we've been talking about here. Last week we talked about persuasion and the principles of persuasion. This is the big picture of the PowerPoint that we went through. I'm not going to go through it slide by slide again. You can get a copy of it by going to RX, the Facebook RX, the RX corporate, right, Rick? And they should be able to watch a replay of what we did last week. Is that right?
It's actually RX Corporate North America Facebook page.
RX Corporate North America Facebook page. So we recorded this last week, and it talked about the principles of persuasion. And over the last month, we've been talking to some of the top leaders who are our power rankers around the world, and asked them, at least in North America, and asked them what's their secret, what makes them successful. About a month and a half ago, we had Dr. Pena on, and Dr. Pena shared with us a video that he shares with people that he is introducing to RX. And last week we talked about what are the principles of persuasion, and then how can we discover those principles that Dr. Pena has already used in the video he sends people to. So we talked about last week, we talked about 12 persuasion strategies, and the three most famous ones, which spells my favorite words, USB, your urgency, scarcity, and popularity. And we went, many of you requested, and I sent to you a copy of the script that Dr. Pena uses to send people to introduce them to RX. And it was all in Spanish. So I had it translated into English. And then I'm just going to go through a few minutes of this for those of you who didn't get a chance to read this, to just cover basically briefly for what we talked about last week. And then I'm going to invite Stephane to share with us what are his secrets of persuasion. How does he invite people to join RX? What's his system? So I'm going to take maybe 5 minutes on this right here. And then I'm going to bring Stephane in, because obviously rather than talking to me, you want to talk to somebody who is a power ranker, right? Here. So if you look at this script, you should be able to see it in front of you. I think, Rick, can people see it? Should be able to see it.
Yes.
This is the transcript of a multi-page document. I'm not going to go
Actually,
through.
Robert, what we see is the PowerPoint still. So
No,
if you're going to share something else, you need to get out of that one and then open it up again with the new one.
We want to see the actual.
Okay.
We want to see. Well, let's see. How about this? Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, there we go. This is the transcription of a video that Dr. Pena sends people to. Rather than speaking to them a long time, he wants to find out if they're interested by watching a video. And inside it, there's lots of persuasion in it. It's very fun. It's not pushy, but there are a lot of hidden persuasion techniques. And so I'm going to just cover a few of them here with you today on this very first 2-page spread that he starts. Remember, this was in Spanish, and so I've had it translated in English. I've underlined where I I believe, some of the principles of persuasion are found. And those of you who want to go into this in more depth, I can always email you the version that I've underlined. Everybody else has received just a blank version without any underlining in it. But let's just take the first paragraph. Here is Michelle introducing somebody. And I've underlined the word, he is a great networker. Obviously, this is a principle of persuasion. It's called credibility or authority. He is, in the network marketing arena, we call it edifying, to edify your guest. And really, why do you edify? You edify because you want to create credibility in the person you're inviting. So if it's a three-way call you're doing, and the person you're inviting to speak is, you need to edify that person. You need to literally give some credibility or authority to that person. And so that's what they did at the very beginning. So you may not notice it when you're reading through the script, unless you really go, why do they do that? Why do they edify? Why does that seem to be a fundamental principle for every network marketing conversation with a three-way call or anywhere you go in a public speech? And the bottom line is, from the principles of the book called Influence that I shared with you last week, there's 6 of them. One of the most important of the 6 principles is making sure that you are identifying who is the person and what authority do they have. Why should you listen to them? Because if they're not edified, then there's always this question in the back of the mind, who is this person and why should I believe what they say? But if they've been edified, then they go, oh, that's why this person is here. That's why I should believe what they say. So the belief part, remember we talked about last week, you have beliefs that sometimes your beliefs are lies, that and some of your beliefs are truths. Well, in this case, we want to make sure that when they listen, they believe what this person says. They'll believe the guest more than they'll believe you. The next principle down here, in the second paragraph, I've underlined, confirm that you hear me. Now, why did the guest, the guest who is the person who is the expert, why did the expert ask them to confirm that you hear me? Why is he asking that question? Why is he asking them to go into the chat and say to everybody who is listening, go into the chat and tell me that you can hear what I'm saying? It may seem very innocent and maybe not even necessary, but remember, of the 6 principles we talked about last week from the powerful book Influence by Dr. Robert Cialdini, one of the principles is, he calls it consistency. He calls it, well, I call it baby steps. His word is a little more complicated. Baby steps means I want who is listening to take a baby step. I don't want them to be back in the background where they're just watching. I want them to step forward a little bit and to go into the chat and to tell me, are you hearing me? Believe it or not, that one tiny little to get them to say yes towards the end of the presentation, because they took a baby step. So if they didn't take that baby step, then they're just lurking, what we call it on the internet. They're just kind of watching from the background. They're probably distracted with a million things going on. And if I can get that person to make a baby step, just one little thing. So for example, when a person is speaking into an audience, you'll notice that many times throughout the speech, does that make sense to you? And people will raise their hands. And that little step of asking them the question, does that make sense to you? Do you buy that? Do you understand that? How many of you agree with that? Having them do that little step, it seems like like not necessary. Like, why do I do that? It's called baby steps. Now, the third underline in this document is 20 weeks ago, in my particular case, it came to transform absolutely everything in my life. This is a kind of a strange translation, but the bottom line, he's trying to say, not only has somebody else edified me, but let me edify myself. I'm going to tell you that what I'm going to tell you today changed my life. Why does he say that? Once again, it's a principle, and one of the principles is, first of all, to create authority for yourself. So not only do I say greed, but greed means when you say something that's really strong and it causes a person to want it. That's the principle of what I call greed. I know it kind of seems like a negative, the word greed, but basically we're saying when we identify something that really changes somebody's life, that's powerful. Now, the sentence right below that, and by the way, this might be a little hard for you to see. Let me see if I can zoom it just a little bit. Let's see. Well, let's see. I don't think I can. Whoops. Whoops. I stopped sharing and I want to go back to sharing. Let's see.
We see the PowerPoint again. Now we see it. Okay.
Okay. Now, how do you see it now? Do you see when I made it larger? Can you see it there?
You didn't make it larger, but we do see it.
I did make it larger, so let me try it this way. Now, for those of you who've never joined with us before, you might feel like you're joining us in the middle of a conversation. And what I'm trying to relate to you is that people who are good at getting people to say yes are good at persuasion. And this is a skill you need to learn if you want to be good in RX. You got to get people to say yes enough so that they go, how can I join? Here's my credit card. So our conversation today is essentially, how do you get somebody to take little tiny baby steps toward what you want? Okay, another baby step. Can you see that one, Rick?
Yep.
Is it available? I'm trying to make it look a little bit bigger.
That's for my benefit, right?
Yeah, for all of us, for mine too. But I can't seem to get it to go bigger. So bottom line is, the fourth underline is 20 weeks ago, in my particular case, it came to transform, that was the third one. It came to transform absolutely everything in my life. And then just below that, I hope you can put me here in the chat. Who are the people that are connecting for the first time? Once again, what's the principle there? It's baby steps. He wants them to identify themselves. By just taking almost an innocuous baby step, it dramatically increases the probability that eventually they say yes. But if I can't get them to take a baby step, they won't take the big step of joining. So now a little bit below that, he says, what a great bar the shirt, extraordinary. By complimenting somebody, believe it or not, this is the principle of liking from the book Persuasion by Dr. Cialdini. Liking, when you give somebody a compliment, if it's sincere, what you're doing is you're liking something about them. When you do that, believe it or not, when you give a sincere compliment, can't be phony, but when it's a sincere compliment, everybody appreciates it. You did compliment, they appreciate it even more. So it's part of this book, Persuasion by Cialdini. Let's go through one more, and then we'll, let's see. But long before, so I'll tell you a little bit of the story of how and why they call me Moscow. To tell you briefly my story so that we are not strangers. This is the principle of rapport or this, one of the most important principles about persuasion is trust. And if they trust you, they'll like you. And if they don't trust you, they won't like you. And therefore, you want to do things right at the very beginning of the presentation that make them like you. Now, this may sound manipulative. I know some of it does for some of you. Remember, what are you trying to do? You're trying to change somebody's life. And therefore, you're going to use principles that are very powerful. And you'll use these principles with integrity, meaning if this isn't right for this person, you won't sign them up. You're not using principles. You're trying to change their life so their life can get better, so that they are in alignment with where they really need to go. So one final principle is I have a degree in communication sciences. So once again, he's making credibility. He's proving that he has authority. Now, can you do that about yourself? Can you brag about yourself? Well, if you read through this text, you'll find he's dropping the hints that he has the authority to be able to say what he's going to say, not only his success story, but his education story. You'll notice you don't feel, I don't think, anywhere along here that he's bragging. He's just telling the truth. And he's being honest. Now, when you add all of this authority, then you're going to add another principle, which is called honesty. And you're going to take all of your authority away. Now, let's just notice how that happens. At the very bottom of that page, I have underlined, to meet many famous people, to win some awards. He's talking about himself. Some recognitions based on the programming in the production, to be the voice of, and so he's saying, I've been in these productions. I'm a famous person. I'm the voice of many numerous brands that you probably heard of some point in your life, on your television, on your radio. He's bragging. And I always tell people the truth is that I was doing very well. And I was very, 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 very happy with what I was doing, but I was not earning what I wanted to earn. That is to say, I had this personal satisfaction that professionally, I had a degree in communication sciences, I had already had a decade of experience, but, and whenever you hear the word but, it negates everything that a person just said. Just notice that as a rule. When a person's talking to you and they say a nice compliment and they give you a but, that means everything they just said is negated. So, but, although he says, I was famous, but economically, unfortunately, my results were not the most satisfactory. And then he starts to go into what I call honesty. And honesty is when you say something that's true, but it's also negative. And it's extremely powerful because most sales presentations are almost all positive. And therefore, most people don't believe any of it because they know it's just a pitch. But what he does here is he says, I was doing great. And you probably heard of me before, but, and he tells the truth. Now, I'm going to stop there because I've done the entire document like that, where I've underlined it and put the principle next to it. And so we can talk a little bit more about that maybe in our next session. What I want to do now is to bring on somebody who is in one of the most important, let me actually share where Stephane is. So let's see, Stephane is right there. Of the 25 power ranking representatives, these are of the thousands of representatives in North and soon to be South America, because our company is expanding all over we're into Brazil, we're into Peru. It's crazy the places we're going to be going. But Stephane is number 21, and it rotates up and down. But top 25 power rankers, of thousands of people puts him in a very important position. And so, Stephane, you've heard me talk about for the last few minutes about persuasion. I'm going to bring you out online, if you would, please, and talk to us a little bit about what have you learned in your experience of sharing with RX with people about how to persuade. What was your career before you got started, by the way?
I was a business owner my whole life. So I was renting snowmobiles. That was my primary occupation.
Yeah.
So we loved the winter. So winter was a great season for us. We were making money and really enjoyed that business. It was just not providing the kind of lifestyle that we wanted, because we wanted to travel around the world. We wanted to be free, spend more time with the family and all of that. And I just could see that it was not going to provide that for us. So I was doing MLM part-time, and I've done that for many years, 16 years. So when you said number 21, Power Ranker,
yes.
I have to come back and say, but I struggled for many years in this business, many years. And I would say one of the reasons was the mindset. I had the right mindset. I was positive. I was optimistic. I had all of that. But along the way, I decided that MLM was going to be hard. And I remember many years ago when I was, building in network marketing. At the time, my early years, I had success. Everything I wanted, I was getting. I wanted this car. I dreamed of the car. I saw the car everywhere. And the next thing you know, I was owning the car. And I wanted to start a company. I needed $100,000 to start. I had nothing. I was just a kid out of college. And I found $100,000 invested in the business. And then I could see $350,000 in my bank account in my business. Well, I got it. I got a loan for $350,000. So everything I wanted, I was getting. But here's the fact. Every single night, I would come back from my work and I would complain to my wife. I would say, it's too easy. And she said, why do you say that? Because I'm reading all these great books on personal development, and I'm hearing the stories of Henry Ford and Walt Disney and all these guys, and they had it tough. Their life was tough, and it's inspiring. And my life is too easy. I mean, everything I want, I get. And just be happy and just, accept that. Well, I believe that after doing that for maybe a year or two, that I created the. I didn't even realize it, because at some point we lost everything. And after we lost everything, I was wondering, like, what's happening? So I tried to, come back and build, and I've done MLM like for those 16 years and struggling for many, many years. And then one night, and I remember that's after I joined RX, because before I joined RX, I met Tim Sells. And I asked him, I said, why is MLM so hard? He said, Stephane, there's a point in your career where you decided MLM was going to be hard.
Yeah.
You accepted it. He says, you need to trace it back and figure out why you accepted that. I never knew. I never figured out until that night. It was my birthday, and we came back with my wife at home, and, we're laying, on the couch, and we're talking, and I say, what happened to me? Like years ago, everything I wanted, I could get. And she says, how come you don't know? I said, why you say that? She says, well, I know what happened. I said, you know what happened? And she said, yeah, don't you remember? You were complaining all the time. And so she tells me the whole story. And I said, no kidding. I completely had forgotten about this. And she says, well, I thought you knew. I said, I didn't know. So you let me struggle like that for all these years. And I said, well, watch out. I'm coming back. And that year, things started to happen. Like the climb just happened. So that's just a little part of the story. So you asked me where I come from. So
Yeah,
automobile
I've
business.
never heard that story before. I'm so glad you shared it with us. It was just a decision when you just said, I'm going to make
That's
this
it.
work.
That's it.
Do you remember
So-
that night? I mean, you actually remember that conversation in detail?
Oh, I totally, totally remember, of course. Yeah. All the nights I was complaining all the time. But then also that night, of course, I remember. It's like a turning point in our business, because you've been struggling and dreaming of the MLM success for years, and you see people go on stage, and you hear these stories of people who join them 3 months later. They're on the stage, they surpass you. You've been in the business for 5 years.
Yeah.
What's going on with me? You completely always question yourself. Now, before that point, I had success in RX, but not the explosive growth, nothing. I was climbing the ranks and doing good. And the reason that happened was because at some point in my career, I'm doing it, but halfway. I'm always questioning, like, what am I doing wrong? Am I doing it right? Am I using the right video? Am I telling the story the right way? And always doing it halfway. And so I had, right? And that happens to a lot of people where you've tried something 1 time, 2 times, 3, 4, 5, and you fail. Your confidence just goes down. And so I realized that, and I said, okay, I can't just work on myself and my belief just by myself. I need to put my confidence in someone that I trust and just do whatever they tell me to do. And that's when I reached out to Tim. And so Tim Sells, I said, you need to tell me what to do and I'll just go do it. I know you're retired from the industry that was at the time. I know you're not going to bill with me. You're not going to do presentations. I don't care. Just tell me what to do. I'll do it. And he showed me the inviting formula. And I thought, that's all I need to learn. That's all I need to know. So I focused on it and I actually learned to speak English listening to Tim's CDs. And I was rehearsing, practicing. And then next thing you know is I was able to invite people after thousands of calls. I was able to invite people. Most people I would talk to, they would, accept to look at the information. And then I would come back to Tim and say, okay, 96% of the people I talk to, they say, yes, I'm going to look at the information, but nobody signs up. And so he said, okay, you need to work on the presentation and follow up, with people. So I started to work on that part. I tweaked it and got better. And then next thing you know, I was getting people to look at the information. And then it was how to get people signed up. And then how to get people, I got a ton of people signed up. Nobody's doing anything. So, okay, I need to work on training and duplication. And so, so I started work on that. But all of that was because I had trust in him. I believed, I put my whole belief in him. I didn't question anything he was saying. I knew he was telling me the right thing I needed to do. And so I did. And by doing that, I created results. And as a matter of fact, the first year in RX, I was one of the top 3 with Lynn Allen and 2 guys from Mexico, one of the top 3 recruiters in the whole company in RX in the first year. And so I thought, where's this guy coming from? Struggling all these years and then suddenly, becoming a leader. And so from there, started to build and started to climb. And that got to that point where I realized it, that what I had done for all these years. And I said, okay, that's it. I'm done. Watch me, because watch me. It's just going to happen. And it all goes around a word, because you talk about the words. I saw that scarcity and all of those. For me, the most important word is certainty. And if I'm able to convey that to a potential customer or a representative, it's so powerful, because that's what people buy. Is they're going to join if they know for a fact it's going to work. Now, I cannot promise it to them, but the one thing I can do is give them an opportunity, right? And I think we've all been put on this earth with an opportunity. It's our own decision. but we have been given that opportunity. So my job is to give someone else an opportunity to transform their lives. And I'm going to do everything I can to help them. And it needs to convey through that certainty. And an example, I remember when Tim created the weight loss program that accompanied Slenderize. He called me like right between Christmas and New Year's, and he says, "Okay, Stephane, we gotta go and get a bunch of guys. I need 28 guys on this weight loss program." He says, "We need to recruit these guys." I said, "Okay, how many days we have?" "We have 10 days." I said, 10 days to recruit 28 guys? I mean, do you have a list? He said, "No." "Who's gonna get the list?" He said, "You." "I'm supposed to get a list." So I got on the phone. I had 400 leads I generated from ads on Facebook, and I went like crazy. But the thing is, I was on the phone and I was so busy because I needed to get 28. I didn't have any time to, is it sugarcoat or try to, what I would do is I would say, "Okay, Robert, here's the fact. We're launching this. It's going to start on January 1st. You want to be part of it or you don't, it's fine. It's your decision. But here's what's going to happen. This is going to be the last weight loss program you'll ever do, because you're going to get trained on what to eat, what not to eat, how to control your body so that you never know or not know what to do. You'll be in total control of your health." Okay. And so the program you're going to get into is going to fast forward your results, right? Because we have the whole program, not only the products to help you, but also all the education. So now the one thing I'm going to tell you, that if you decide to join, you have to accept to take your before picture, because this is going to be the last time you're going to look like that. So you're in or you're not. Well, guess what people would do is I would project into the future what they will be like. And so if I'm doing it with that certainty, it's done. And next thing you know, out of the 28 guys, I recruited 24 into that program in 10 days. But it was crazy. I was on the phone. It was not just like a few phone calls. I had 400 people to go through and call, and I would do that pitch. But it worked because I believed, and truly, those 28 guys that got on the program at the end all lost the weight. All were successful. So anyway, I keep talking, but I don't know.
We're just learning the principles. Can you see the principles of persuasion that he just shared with you right there? He says, first of all, scarcity. Scarcity in two ways. One, scarcity and urgency. He was given 10 days, a deadline. That's called urgency. And number two, scarcity was I only have 28 slots. That's it. And so by just using those two principles, he was able to talk to 400 people and find 20 of them. Well, 20 out of 400 is what, 5%?
Yep.
5%, which means, I bet you, how many of those 400 did you talk to?
I don't remember. I have all the stats. I have the Excel sheet. It's just a few years ago. I don't remember by heart, but many of them. Yeah.
So he knew that not everybody was going to say yes, but when he used the principles of persuasion, urgency and scarcity, people were saying yes. There's another thing he did. He did a very powerful word. Your powerful word was, what was it?
Certainty?
Urgency.
Certainty.
Another powerful word that he used is one of my most powerful words that I use when I'm persuading. That's imagination. In other words, imagine. What did you see? Hear what he said? He said, "This is the last picture you'll take of yourself weighing what you weigh right now. So I want a picture of the last picture you'll ever take at this weight." And so that's called imagination. It's just like, imagine what it would be like to realize that you will never weigh this much again in your entire life. What will you weigh? What would it be like? So Stephane, you were using these principles that all successful people use. Maybe they don't identify them specifically like that, but when he tells his story, you can just see the principles at work, can't you? Now, when you bring somebody in, what is your system? We only have about 10 minutes left, Stephane. And I want to make sure if you have a question that you want to make sure Stephane answers for any of you, put that into the chat, will you? Stephane, tell us, when you bring somebody in now and they say yes, what does your system look like? What is the infrastructure where you support and train them to be able to duplicate what you've done for them?
Yeah, so a lot of times people say, okay, we need to sit down and create your game plan. What are your goals and all of that? I push that a little further. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is to get them into action very quickly. I will do what's the equivalent today of what used to be the names list, like 100 names list.
Yeah.
What I will do instead is having them make a post on Facebook that creates a lot of engagements with their friends, because that just gives them their whole names list. Okay. Yes. And then from there, they're going to send them a quick message by Messenger, for example. And there's just this, hey, Robert, I wanted to reach out to you because I launched a new project. I wanted to tell you about it, but hey, how are you? How have you been? So next thing you know is Robert comes back. Hey, I've been doing great. What's your new project? Okay, so well, I'm launching a business, and hey, I'd love to show it to you if you're okay. I can send you a video. Is that okay with you? And then we introduce them. So I want them to get into action before they even set their goal, before they do anything else. And the reason is because if they're doing that, as opposed to get into the back office, start to watch all the videos and everything, and then a week, 2 weeks pass by, then nothing happens. So I want them to get into action. So now in a matter of a couple hours or a day or two, they already have a bunch of people taking a look through, the information. Now they're going to go and look at the videos. It's fine. But now they're in a rush. They're busy. They're following up. They're doing stuff. Okay. So that is the first thing I want people to do, is to get them into action really, really quickly. So that's one thing, is show them, an engagement post they can make so they can connect with their friends. Second thing, I show them the system. So the system for us, it would be like 1 or 2 short video teasers, and we created our own until RX created the new video, the new teaser videos, okay, which are fantastic. So these would be the introduction videos. Then we have a kind of a webinar recorded video that presents the opportunity. So that's step 2. So once people have seen the first teaser video, what did you like best from what you've seen so far? They say, well, I like this part, fantastic. Here's what most people would like to do, is they want to take a look a little bit further into how this whole thing works. Would you like me to show you what we have here? Yes, boom, introduce them to that, longer video.
How long is it?
Huh?
How long is it?
40 something minutes.
Great. So you don't have to do a lot of the presentation. You just send them to the video to watch it. This is exactly what Pena does.
After about 5 years in RX, I did my first opportunity presentation. Right. So I think I must have done maybe 5 opportunity presentations in 9 years. I never do that. I just use tools, to do the job for me. So that's what we do. So that's step number 2. And once they've seen that presentation, we don't go into that presentation about all the products and everything, but just like 3 core products. And then from there, we reconnect with them. What part did you like best? Good. Most people want to know more about the products. Would you like to take a look at that? Good. Then we send them a PDF document that has all the products, which is in our back office. So then they can look at all of them, and some testimonials. And if you have like a Facebook group, you can plug them into their testimonials, things like that, and then reconnect. Once we reconnect, it's going to be usually a 3-way messenger with the upline, which in the past was a 3-way call. Now we just do 3-way messenger. It's less intrusive. And so if I add you to a 3-way messenger group with my upline, and I introduce my upline by audio, then you hear my upline talk. You can see, oh, he's not like a hardcore closer, whatever. He's a nice guy. So if you need to move to a Zoom call, you're good with that, because now it feels friendly. So then we could go there. But if we don't, because you're fine, we got your questions answered. My typical question is, hey, Robert, would you like to know, like, if when someone wants to start, what would we do? And you're going to say yes. And I'll just say, okay, there's 3 steps. One is we get you registered, which is pretty quick, a couple minutes. And so once you register, you also choose your products. We typically do those 2 steps at the same time. And 3 is training, where we show you step by step how to start and launch your business. And so that's kind of the process. And I stop. And usually you're going to say, okay, all right, well, okay, what do I do next? I said, well, which product did you have an interest in? Well, this. Good. Can I send you a link for you to register? And so I create a smart link and we just get you started. So that is kind of the process for, getting people enrolled. So that showing them the system. And after they know the system, it is the back office. So we take them through the back office and we show them, make sure they understand member, business, elite, ultimate, make sure they know how to get their commissions, like all of those things. So we did a little video that walks them through that. And then after that, it is the goal setting, so that now they have a little bit more experience.
Yeah.
They've taken prospects through the process. They have a better understanding. So for them to set goals, now it makes a little bit more sense. And then from there, then it's really working. We use mostly social media. So then it's training them on social media, like how to, make sure their profile is nice profile, friendly, stuff like that, and how to find prospects through social media. So we give them all kinds of tips on that. And so that's what we do.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. So Werner asked, what's your Facebook post you encourage newbies to do, Stephane?
Yeah, so it'll be a selfie. All right, so it's a selfie. Make sure it's just you because you want your friends to see you, recognize you. And it's going to go something like, most of you have never interacted or said hi or anything. Please do so now so I can say, thank you for paying attention and let's reconnect. So it's simple and it's crazy, crazy effective. The number of people you get, like I go to people's profile where they say, that's not going to work. Like my mom is the only one who likes my post. And so they have 3-4 comments and then they post that and they got 75 people messaging them, commenting and say, how in the world does this thing work? It's a super simple one, but it really works well. So that's what we do.
You use another principle, which is what I call curiosity. You just say, I got started with a new business I'm really kind of excited about. And then you say, how are you doing? What's up with your life? What's happening for you? You don't tell them it's RX. You don't tell them it's nutritional products. You leave it. Curiosity works. It's one of the reasons that people respond like, what are they involved in?
Yeah.
So
yeah, I was thinking about you, Robert. Wanted to tell you about my project, but hey, how are you? How are the kids? So you turn it around, you take it away from them. So that works all the time.
So everybody, these principles, you see them everywhere you look if you know what you're looking for. And people learn how to use them sometimes without even understanding what the principles are. They just eventually realize that it kind of works when you don't say the word RX in it. You met them, make them discover it. You create some curiosity. Sometimes you just stumble into it. And when you pick the brains of the real good ones, the power rankers, you find out that they are doing lots of these things, sometimes without even thinking about it. Give us one final thought here, Stephane, because I know Rick's got another meeting he has to go to shortly. Give us a final thought for all these wonderful people who joined with us today. First of all, congratulations on your success. Thank you for telling us the truth about it. And what final message would you like to share with us?
Yeah, I would say, we all say like stay the course, stay on track. But I would also say, just like what I did, is go find someone you trust and follow exactly what they tell you. And we have tons of those great leaders in RX. Don't just rely on yourself, on thinking, okay, I'm going to break through it. I'm going to get on all the webinars. Get on all of those. Get on all the webinars. Get on all the trainings you can. Absolutely. But go find someone you trust and follow their direction. The business is simple. There's not many things you need to learn. You need to learn to find leads, find prospects, invite them, present, do your follow-up, and then you train them. That's it. That's really all it is. So if you're struggling in your business, not getting the results you want, there's just one of those areas you're not mastering yet.
Exactly.
And the training is out there. So
Just
that
that's what
would be
happened.
it.
That's what you did. First,
Mhm.
you how do I invite? And you try to invite, and you had to work on that, figure it out. Then how do I get to do presenting? It's just you increased your probability of success by practicing. And
And I would say, Robert, is that we very often get discouraged by small little things. Like, you know, I don't know, my products didn't ship right. You know, some little things that happen in the business. And you know that the bigger the leader, the bigger the problem you can handle. And so whenever there's a little, like something happens, I'm like, okay, like, you know, let's just solve it. I mean, it's nothing. Like there's some life, because there are people out there that need desperately your help with what we have here. Go find those people. That's a much bigger problem than all the little problems that you guys have. And you can transform a person's life forever. So let's get rid of that thing. Like focus on the big problem.
would you be willing to share with us the link of that 45-minute video that you share with people?
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Right there or not? Could you, Stephane?
Yeah, it's on the, let's see if I can find it real quick.
Put him on the spot here, everybody. If it doesn't work, then he can send it to me and then I'll share it with you next week. Yeah, Francis says, I can't wait.
Okay, that's the one.
So, by the way, did you learn anything today, everybody? She just seems like every one of the big leaders just has a slightly different way of saying it, but it just makes so much sense.
So I pasted the
Okay,
link here.
The link is in the chat. So copy that, everybody.
Yeah, this one, I had one that was 40 something minutes. I redid it. And yeah, this one is shorter. It's so it's 29 minutes, this one.
This is your most recent, right?
Yep. That's the latest one. It's the same. It's just I'm talking a little bit faster, and I had some testimonials in the other one, and so anyway, so that's the one that we've been using.
Seems to work.
It works really well. Yeah.
There you go. All right. Well, that was so kind of you to share that with us, Stephane. Thank you. Give him a hand, everybody. Yeah, you're awesome. I loved your energy. It was so great. So thank you. Really, thank you. Yeah, beautiful smile, Stephane. We love it. Okay, Rick, I turn it back over to you.
And unmute the lines. Stephane, you're